Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So we have just a little job to do to start with. I thought I might as well show you doing it. So this is a job on our own machine. This is my dad's drilling tractor. So he's got a combination drill on the back and a front press on the front. And just a little job to sort out. Keeps breaking these hooks off that hold the chains on. There's two there that are broken off. The chains go through the rings to stop it all clogging up with soil. So when they spin round and the chain stops it all bunging up, but when you get a rock in it, it sort of jams up and then ends up pulling the hooks off. So one's welded on before, and I think my dad made one at front there. So I've just plasmed some out and chop them off and then weld them back on. So I'll open the door and then I'll just poke that through. I might just drop it off the tractor and then get them welded on. It's a bit windy outside to do it out. I might actually leave it on the tractor because if I take it off, I don't know what will happen. The front wheels might come off the ground because the drill on the back is quite heavy. But I can get in there, cut them off, and I've just cut these out as like heavier duty ones. So hopefully it shouldn't snap them off. Right, that's them welded on then, so vertical weld up there, both sides, and then top and bottom. So I cut 6 of them out, and he's got 4 spare because it'd be inevitable that some more will pull off. But yeah, that should keep him going for now. So as soon as the weather dries up, I think he'll be back out again with it. And for those of you that don't know what a combination is, it's a seed drill, so you put seed in there, and there's a fan that blows the seed up to there, and then they come down to the coulters at the back, put the seed into the ground, and then it has a power hammer in front of it, so these tines spin round and break the soil up. So that's what that is. Let's get on with some of these jobs that I've accumulated. So these are all baler parts. I can't really tell you what they all do because I don't actually know myself. The part gets brought to me and I fix it, and then they take it away and put it back on again. So I don't actually know really what they do or where they go. I know where these bits go, but yeah, first one is this funny looking thing. It has like a rose joint in the end, and that's no longer tight in there, and it's had bits of weld put on it to hold it in. So, but I haven't got a new one of them, so I don't actually know what size the hole is supposed to be. I'm supposed to be bringing me a new one, but they haven't done yet. So that's that bit. These bits, apparently these are £1,300 for a new one apparently, and these go, you'll have seen me do them big baler flower wheels before. Well, these go onto the flower wheel, and a shear bolt goes through that hole and then through the bush in the flower wheel, and that takes the drive off the flower wheel into the baler, I think. What happens with these is after the shear bolt snapped a few times, it elongates the back of the hole. That one's quite bad, and then it just keeps snapping the shear bolt because it's sort of trying to bend it rather than shear it, because it's lost its support around the edge of the hole. So they need drilling out and a sleeve putting in. So there's 4 of them to do. There's one of these to sort out. You've seen me do one of these before, so that little stub gets worn down, so that's to build back up with weld and then turn back down again. There's this thing which has that stub there, which is welded on the back and the weld's broken, but it looks like the hole is too big for the stub, which means it's just relying on the weld. Where if that hole was the right size for that, then it wouldn't just be relying on the weld. So I might machine that out, build it up a weld, and then machine it back out to the right size, and then re-weld that back in again. And then this one is a new stub to go in that, but that one's obviously broken out as well. And then someone's had to go at welding it back in. Looks like it's maybe broken the whole end off at one point. So yeah, that's to sort out as well. I probably won't get all these sorted today, but I'll probably tackle them and then maybe get this one done as well, and then see how we get on. So with these, I'm gonna put it on the mill. I've got loads of these offcuts that I've cut out as some flanges for someone. And I know they're nice and flat because they're machined on either side. So, sit them on there, sit that on there. I'll have to drill a hole through the middle of this, and then I can put me thread through there and have a big washer that I can put and clamp it down that way. And then we'll run a drill through there first, and then I'll go through the 24mm reamer, ream it out, and then I'll turn a bit of round bar like that down in the lathe so it's an interference fit into there. It should be like 24.02mm, something like that. I'll maybe drill it out while it's in the lathe as well to 13mm, and then press that in there, and then that should be it. Shouldn't need anything to hold it in because it's just a bolt that goes through it. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do that, I think. And there should be plenty of room under there for the drill to come through without drilling into my bed. just used the edge finder to find the centre of there. So I'll change that out now for this drill, which is whatever that size is, which measures, it's like 23.4 I think. .25-ish, which should be enough for me to then go through with the 24mm reamer. It seems like that might be quite hard. It's not done the end of my drill much good. I just started cutting it though. I think I'll fasten that down a bit better. Put another clamp on there and another clamp there maybe, because obviously it's going to take quite a bit of force to drill it. And then slow the drill right down so it don't get as hot. And resharpen it and have another go. Yeah, that's just done the same to the drill, it's just taking the trunk out of it. So yeah, that's probably why they're so expensive, because they're hardened afterwards. So if I do manage to drill through it, then the bush that I put in is gonna have to be hardened as well. But anyway, to try that, I have that little cutter. I know it's not really a drill, but whether that will go through it. And then I also have that one as well. Again, I know it's not really a drill, but it might, well, might do the job. I'll try it. that's drilled through there alright. He's pretty hard though, I think. It's just that next cutter up is nearly going to be too big, but I don't have anything in between. So I think I'm going to have a go with that end mill, or that roughing mill, whatever you want to call it, because I just think they're going to be too big. I have another one of them as well, I found. I don't want to take too much strength away, or too much metal away from the outside of there, because that still does take drive. And if I take too much metal away, it might just snap the end off, which I don't want it to do. So that's 20 mil, and I think they'll be about 25 mil. Most of the tooling I bought as a job lot, so I don't always know what I've got tooling wise, because I haven't bought it specifically for a job. Yeah, I've never used that before. That came in a box of cutters, so we'll see how that goes. That seems to have drilled through there alright. I didn't quite have it tight enough in the collet. It spun, so I just had to tighten it up a bit more. Yes, done that alright. Right, I think I can take this off the mill now because I don't need it on there anymore. So I'll get it unbolted and see what the hole looks like at the other side. Yeah, that looks alright. Just realised there's a little hole in there, and looks like there's a screw into there, but the screw doesn't come through all the way to do anything, so I don't know what that's there for. Just looking at them chips, it maybe wasn't hard all the way through, so I don't know how they do it, whether they've just hardened like the hole. I don't know. I think the splines would be hardened as well, I suppose, so yeah, I'm not sure. So I might just leave that for now until I do a bit more research on what to make the bush out of, and the best way to harden it and temper it. So I have that's EN19, so I could either use EN19 or EN8, because I have plenty of EN8, or I could order some other steel. So I'd make the bush, and then I'd probably heat it up till it's no longer magnetic, and then quench it in oil, and then put it in the oven for 2 hours at 200 degrees to temper it. I'm not sure. So yeah, I'll do some more research on that. If any of you guys at home have an experience with anything like that, let me know what you'd make it out of and how you'd harden it and temper it. I haven't done much hardening and tempering before. If I do need anything hardening and tempering, I usually send it away to get it done, but for 4 bushes, I don't really think it's worth it. I can do it myself. So I think I'll tackle this one now. So I will chop the rest of that weld off, clean that up. I don't know whether that must be there for a reason, that tab, whether a sensor. I think a sensor maybe picks up on it. So I'll have to make sure I get that back in the right way. But yeah, I'll get that out and then see what the hole looks like and go from there. I see it's nice they've given it a clean off for me before they brought it. And I got that chopped off, as it looks like. I thought it was a bit of an angle, but it's not. It's been a bit of. I must have chopped it out of like the web. It's too hot to hold. Hang on. They must have chopped it out of like the web of a bit of like beam or something, because it's got a corner at either side. Yeah, but yeah, that had just been welded onto the end of the pin, and then the weld had broken off, so I put a bit of chamfer on that, and then if I put a big chamfer on that, it's not, the hole is not actually worn much. It's not too bad. There's a bit of wear on there where it's been flopping about, but the actual shaft itself is still good. So yeah, I'll put a big bevel on there, and then we'll have to work out how to hold it in square And then before I chopped the end off, I did remember to measure how much of it was sticking out. So it was like 35mm sticking out. And then we'll get a good weld around that. And then clean that up and then weld that back on the top. I decided to use a countersink on that rather than a die grinder. Countersink it out a bit. I turned it over to look at this side. And it's a bit burred over. I was going to just grind that off flat. Yeah, that hole is not very good on this side. When you stick that in there, there's a lot of spare space. Because it's been going around like that and worn it like that. So I think I will have to build that hole back up again before I weld that in, just to support the shaft. Otherwise there's sort of no support at that side, even if I weld it in. So again, the mill is going to come in handy because I'll sit that on the mill. I'll use the edge finder because the edge finder is just long enough to reach to the bottom of that hole where it's still good. Find the centre with that, centralise it up, move that out of the way. I'll weld round the hole with a welder, and then this pin measures 35mm, so then I'll just drill that through, and I think I have a 35mm reamer, and then just ream out 35mm, and that'll be a nice tight hole for that, and then weld it in, and then weld that on the back. Right, that's that welded round, so I'll let that cool down a bit. While that's cooling down, I'll find a drill the right size. I think that's cooled down enough now to drill. I put that underneath it, pushing up, and then I've clamped it down there as well, so that should hold that steady. And then I found a drill the right size. Right, that's that done. I did try and just smooth it off with that big cutter, but I'll just finish it off with grinder, I think, because it was cutting more off one side than it was the other. But yeah, that is a lot tighter hole now than it was. That's spot on. So I'll just clean that bit of weld out, probably do that with a die grinder, and then that's ready to weld in then. And yeah, weld that in and then weld that in after, like its own separate weld. Alright, that's cleaned up and that's ready to tack in now. Yeah, maybe look back at the video. I'm not quite sure where that hole was at, whether it matters or not. Because the end of the pin is a little bit worn, it does wobble a bit, so I'll have to square it up. It's a real nice fit on where it's not worn, but where it is worn, it's a bit wobbly. I was thinking about making that, just borrowing that out 35mm, and then I could sit that over it and use that to keep it square, but I think I'll just square it and knock it with tack it and then knock it and square it with a square. Right, there we are, that's that welded round and then that welded on as well. Yeah, that's that back in there like it should be. Yeah, it's nice and square that way, and it's also nice and square that way. So it's good. Right, that's all we have time for this week. I have bought a MacBook to do editing on now, so I've edited this video on my Mac. So everything else that I've edited, I've done on my phone, but it was hard work doing it on my phone, so I brought a Mac. So hopefully this will make editing easier and faster. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.